Hey, you guys, it's me, Missy Mist, World of Curls. It's been longer than a minute. It's been, what, going on 2 years now? Maybe three? Um, I had to come on. I had to come on. My regular camera is not charged because I have not used it in that long. But I had to just set my regular little camera up, my little Samsung, and come on because I need a release. Like I'm what's this? Purell? Of course, I mean, we don't need a pandemic for this, but why? Um, my husband's home all day, working from home. Of course, I still homeschool my kids, so that's, nothing has changed there, but it's just like a different world. It really is. And I know that I should be looking in this camera, this lens, I should say, but I'm not going to because I am just not used to making videos with my regular camera from my phone. So it is just going to be what it's going to be, okay? It's late at night. Um, wow. So I think the last time we spoke in depth like this, it was maybe prior to the elections for Donald Trump. Remember, I said vote your heart, vote your demographic, all that. Yeah. Well, fast forward, we know what's going on, and we see the outcome. Um, I know with YouTube that you're unable to say the name of the actual um, issue that's going on, so I'm going to actually speak around it, but you guys know what I'm speaking of when I hold this up. You know what I'm referring to, okay? I wish that I didn't have to use my phone because my phone is actually where I have all of my details, but I am a what I call a 360 chick. Like I analyze everything. And back in December, I watch like Canadian news, I watch world news, I watch different type of news clips that's on YouTube and on different stations because we get like stations out the yin yang on our in our home. And I can watch local news in different states and different cities or whatever. And I, caught a little something about what was going on in China. And it had everything to do with that market. And they were saying that, that we were going through this Corona beer. I love Corona beer. Again, I can't say the name, but you know what I'm saying. That they were having an outbreak, okay? And immediately, because I am that girl, like when I say I 360, when you say something to me, I do a complete circular motion around everything that you've said. I've analyzed it. I've already contemplated what could have taken place, what should have taken place, what probably will take place, what I'll do as a response. That's just who I am. I overanalyze everything, and that's why I'm not a great sleeper, but I am very, very artsy, and I'm very talented when it comes down to writing and just creativity. I'm really great at that. But um, for some, it's a great thing, and for others, it's a curse. And in my later life, and having once you have children, it becomes a curse because at that point, like I'm on the edge of like paranoia. You know what I mean? So not literally, but you know what I mean. Like it can be taken as that if you don't check yourself. Now I have my woosah check myself moments, but when my husband will be like, okay, calm down, like breathe, But on this one, you guys, I was right. And I'm not proud to say that I was right. And I really feel that it's going to get so much worse before it gets better. And it's just a scary thing for me. And it's a scary thing when my friends are afraid, when my husband is nervous, when my, all our male big men in our circle are all like, thinking twice and giving advice and, building their women up and not just their wives or their girls, but us too. Like, hey, Missy, how you feeling today? That lets you know that this is something serious. You know what I mean? Thank God for that circle. Thank God for our friends. I really do. Um, Speaking of God, I've mentioned before in other videos that, I didn't grow up in the church. I did definitely grow up believing in Jesus Christ, and I still believe um, in Jesus Christ. But and I'm not going to really delve deep into that, but I just think the theory of it all has somewhat changed. Now, I graduated from um, a religious university here in Miami, Florida. And you had to go through certain things with the nuns, and you had to write papers about about religion. I didn't go there for that, but I ended up going there for that. And I don't think anything is, just happens because it happens. Like things happens for a reason. And I can remember one of my biggest disappointments as an adult at that school was this one nun gave us an assignment. And, once they give you an assignment to do, you have to do research on a book or whatever, but the book has to be approved. Okay. So this one, and this is just going off course, but just to let you know how, I am when it comes down to what my beliefs are and then what I fight for when it comes down to what's right. And it'll come back full circle. So she gives us this assignment and she says, you have to do this book. You have to do a write up on a book. And I went up to her and I think the book was about um, the Canaanites. Okay. Now, I'm not a huge person who knows a whole lot about the Bible. I don't read the Bible for fun. I'm not ashamed to say that I don't. Again, I believe in a higher power. I believe that Jesus died for my sins. I pray that that's where I go when I leave here. But my theory is completely different. It's changed on what I think happens after, in the afterlife. But she agrees and approves the book that I give her. Okay. So had she not agreed and approved to the book, then I wouldn't even be discussing it with you today. Okay. So I take the book and it's all about how, Jesus' son, or was it Jesus' son? Unless you know how much I don't know about it, but um, whomever it was, his son, um, he was drunk, and his son, who was dark, these were the black people in the Bible, okay, the Canaanites, and um, it says that when he was drunk, he was trying to like fix his dad's cloth or his clothing, and he saw his dad's nakedness. And in doing so, somehow or another, we were all black people damned for eternity until we go into the afterlife. So that's the excuse in the Bible as to why Black people are so-called cursed, right? So I wrote the hell out of the paper. Excuse me for saying hell and speaking of the Bible at the same time. But the book was written by an African American writer. And again, I don't even remember the name. This was years and years ago when I was in school. And I wrote the hell out of the paper. I know I did. Like, I can write. I know my talents. And she gave me a B minus on my paper. And this was like a huge grade. It's like a term paper. And I was so upset. So the groups, like, the people are my little, I'm going to say friends, with my associates in school, they, were like, well, what's wrong? Like, they all got great grades, whatever. They're like, you got to be minus. I'm like, no, I'm an A student. Like, I wrote that paper. So I really don't appreciate it. So towards the end of the class, she asked, well, does anyone have any questions regarding anything or whatever? And the last thing she anticipated was for me to discuss my term paper. So I said, well, actually, I do. Like, right here. You mean? So she was like, yes. And I'm like, I just don't understand how I can get a B minus when I wrote this paper. Like, this paper was serious. And right away she says, yes, you did a great job in writing it, but it's fictitious. And I was livid. And I'm like, number one, that fictitious book that you approved, I still wrote the hell out of the paper. Now, you can think all you want that there were no Blacks in the Bible. You can think all you want that, the way that I wrote the Bible up, that, Black people need to stop thinking about the thereafter and think about the here and now, get ours now type of thing. You might not approve of that. However, don't blame it on the book. Don't blame it on the author that is the reason why you gave me a B minus. So needless to say, I appealed it. I took it to my dean, who was actually my law. He was the dean, but he was also the dean of law. And my concentration was legal studies. So she didn't like me after that. But I had my grade was changed. And I realized at that point, the game, that, okay, in school, it's not all about how well you do, how brilliant you are, how articulate you are when you go up and you give a speech about ethos and about whatever it is. It's knowing the game. College is nothing but knowing the game, knowing how to play the game of life. And had I known that in my lower level classes, I would have had less stress towards my higher level classes towards the end, once I became a senior and towards graduation. So it's just what college is just about dedication, knowing that you're able to dedicate your time. You know how to allocate your time. You don't need anyone to wake you, take you, or make you into a great student. You either are or you aren't. You know what I mean? And especially if you're self-pay. So I say all of this to say, I learned the game a long time ago. Okay? And I will be 50 years old in August. Okay? So I'm no jit. Okay? Excuse my braces. They need to be tightened, but I refuse to go get my braces tightened with this in the air. So I have loose brackets and everything, and I'm on point. I go get my braces tightened, but I have not been. Okay. When it comes down to what's going on in the world. I believe that everything is predestined. I truly believe that. And I also believe that God has a way. You call him God, Allah, higher power, whatever. Excuse me. I find myself saying the higher power. Because once I watch, there's a movie that's called Zygest, Zy something. Zeigest, I believe is the, anyway, it's on YouTube. No, it's on Netflix. Now, I am not trying to make anyone not be a believer because I am a believer. But once you watch the movie, you again go back to, I know this game. So I know that a higher being wakes me up every day. I know that a higher being speaks to me. Thank God, because there was a time where I was like just in a space where I didn't hear God. Like God speaks to me in my chest, in my heart. I feel God, and it's the eeriest thing, but I literally can subliminally ask a question and feel a response. And for all the Bible toters, and I had a friend who was like a real, just like deep, devout Christian, which is great, but he just knew everything about God. And that's one of the reasons why we kind of like fell out. I just feel that it is not the devil that's speaking to me, okay? Because everyone that doesn't have that, they sometimes want to make you seem as though, oh, that's what you feel? Now that could be a demonic type thing. Yeah, it is not. You know what I mean? Because too many things have happened. And I knew which way to turn. Even if it was it was like a learning experience. I still knew which way to turn. I knew once I made that move, that was the move that my inner spirit told me to make. And with this whole thing going on in December, I made mention because I watched a YouTube video, and it began with, I have it saved out, and I'm not even going to promise. I'm not going to be able to put it on this video because, like I said, this is on my phone. I'm going to upload it directly to YouTube. But maybe tomorrow what I'll do is I'll put it in the comments. Okay. When I saw what was happening in China, I said then, oh my God, that's coming to us. Because no one was speaking about it. And I told everyone, I'm like, oh my God, guess what's happening? Over in China, at first they were saying it was a bat. Because this man ate a bat, this happened and blah, blah, blah. Well, there's a little market, and in Wuhan, China, I believe it is, that they have everything. Tigers, lions, bears, oh my, everything you can think of, they have there. That is basically off label and stuff that you aren't supposed to be able to get. And just the cross contamination, just the whole market. Now, my issue is that market has been there forever. Those people, their metabolisms and their bodies, they're accustomed to that, okay? But from my understanding, on the same block of this market, there is some type of scientific lab where they do research on people on humans, animals, and other things. I forget the name of it, but on the same strip. Okay. So, China's communist, and the doctor who discovered what he thought was SARS made mention of it through like a WhatsApp with all of his colleagues. And he was like, oh my gosh, we've discovered SARS again. Like, we're in trouble. So if you happen to, let's keep this hush, keep it on a hush. But if you happen to see any patient who has been diagnosed with pneumonia, but there's not really a descriptive way to explain why he has pneumonia, be careful. Okay, so they showed the guy's WhatsApp back and forth with the other colleagues or whatever. So that guy was reprimanded because, again, they're communists. So they probably have access to everything that they do, like they do here. Let's be honest. The Patriot Act, they have ways of knowing everything that you do through social media. But we aren't communists here. Well, this doctor was not only reprimanded, but he also somehow or another developed the thing. And they kept it a secret from everyone about this outbreak. While he is in the hospital fighting for his life, there's footage on YouTube during this documentary of doctors in the hospital. Someone's filming him. I want to kill myself. I just want to die. He's just losing it. There are people everywhere. What am I going to do? A man is crying and screaming on the phone because he realized, oh snap, we out of here, right? Boom. The doctor who discovers this passes away, right? People on the street are dropping dead. People in the hospital just laid out, their bodies everywhere. You really just need to watch the docu. So I'm not going to just describe the whole docu. But when I watched it, for whatever reason in my heart, I said, fast forward 360. This can happen here. We aren't speaking about this, right? There were no bans on any flights. People were able to travel to and fro. There was just a huge problem, and I saw it, and I discussed it with my friends, and with me being 360, sometimes I can be a little overbearing, I will admit. Give me a little break. But out of everyone, my husband respects me. He knows so many times that his wife has been on point. He knows so many times that I keep saying, you know what? I kind of feel like I'm an empath almost. Like I take on the feelings of other people's plights. Like I had to separate myself from people because when my heart just says that something's not right, something's not right. You know what I mean? And it's not even like, okay, something's not right. This person who you love made a mistake. You know what I mean? You can, if you love them, you can work through a mistake. But something just isn't right. And when that happens, I cut you off. And that's just it. You know what I mean? So that is how I operate in life. And 9 times out of 10, I'm right. And I was right. And I don't take pride in saying it because your girl is scared. I'm anxious. I'm afraid. I feel that we're being lied to. I feel as though whatever this is, that is airborne. And once you have children, your life changes forever. And with my twin boys and my mom and my dad, my mom and my dad, they're, up in age now. And just, God, I just I think Kobe Bryant, for me, someone who I never met, I'm not even a big fan of football, of basketball, but Kobe Bryant like really affected me, the way that he died. And I've had friends that died. I've had ex-boyfriends that have died. But the way that Kobe went out, just, on the brink of his second stage of greatness, it just made me question my own mortality. And I think that's what it did for a lot of us. And we don't admit that. We just, mourn the loss because it's a tragic loss. A daughter, he's gone. He's left his family that way. And let's be honest, and when you're fine, people just mourn you even more. You know what I mean? And it's just the truth. I didn't even know he was fine really until after he passed, because I didn't check for Kobe like that. But when Kobe passed, it made me start to think about my own mortality, and the fact that we have children, and the fact that our, family, my parents are older. So if anything were to happen to us, yes, we have a whole group of people that would take care of our boys, but you just want to be around to take care of your own children. Everyone wants that. And I'm just wondering, like, is this our new way of life? Is it? Is it? When my husband leaves to go to the store, because we even switched up the script, we don't go to the store together anymore. He leaves. And the fact that I'm a Walking Dead buff and I am Legend buff doesn't help either. That, once that's in your psyche, you can all of a sudden start to think, okay, maybe this is possible. You know what I mean? But I don't think that there'll ever be zombies. Don't get me wrong. I don't think like there's going to be like an apocalypse. But for the Neanderthals, for the cave dwellers, for the what was it, Homo erectus, for all of those people, those were groups, those were societies. It wasn't like there were like 4 of them. They vanished, right? And they say that we then evolved, if you want to believe in that, into human beings, Homo sapiens. But what did they go through? What did they feel when the Ice Age came, when the whatever came, when they were eradicated? Did it feel like this? Think about it. Was there something major that took place and they were like, oh snap, like this might be rough. Like we're going to stay in the cave for a while because it's really cold out there, but let's try and hunt and get enough food, us, Let's get to BJ's and Publix and Whole Food and let's hoard a whole bunch of food and hopefully this quarantine will be over. But is that what they did? Is that were those their thoughts? So homeschooling is nothing new for me because that's what I've done since first grade for my boys. It's a little different because now, like I said, my husband is home working from home. And all of my friends are like, oh my God, Missy, you deserve a, a gold medal. Like, you've been doing this for how long? We want to pull our hair out after one day. You know what I mean? But it's very rigorous. I'm drunk. It's daunting. I can't say the word. I can spell it. I just cannot pronounce it. Um, it's a daunting task. It is, but life has changed for so many of us. When my husband leaves to go shopping, he dresses a certain way. He puts on gloves. He puts on a mask. He puts on shades. He has on a hoodie. He has on his, I call them dungarees because he would never wear those jeans. Like, they're like old-fashioned dungarees that he used to use to cut the grass, but we have a yard man for like umpteen years now. So they're like some old dugout jeans that he has. And he wears a certain special pair of sneakers. And then he'll go. He wipes down the cart. He gets what we need, and he's not touching everything. He pays for it. He'll call me in between. He might have to go to a second store. When he comes home, he calls me, listen, open the garage. He doesn't even get out to hit the garage button. He doesn't do it from the car. We've deactivated that. Because the world, I feel, is about to change, y'all. Stay strapped. But we open the garage. He comes on in with the food. He doesn't cross our path. He does not step from the garage into our house. And then he undresses in the garage, throws those clothes into the washer. Either I wash them or he washes them. Robe up, Perel at the door, goes into the shower and scrubs. I then begin the task of taking care of whatever food, bags, whatever that needs to be scrubbed, whatever has been touched, wipe it down. It is just a whole new world. And normally that's our thing, to teach our boys, our twins, responsibility. Go help your dad take the stuff out of the trunk or out the car. We don't do that anymore. He does it all. He takes everything out, and then I touch it. And then I make sure that I scrub down. So I'm saying this to say, you guys, we must stay in prayer. Everything is predestined. Whether or not this is going to be the end, I really can't say. I don't feel that in my heart. But I do feel that so many more of our friends and loved ones will pass. We'll get it. My cousin passed last week in the Bronx. I have another cousin who has it. She's doing very well. So it's a roll of the dice. It really is. And I am terrified. So, like I tell my followers on Facebook and Instagram and everywhere else, look, socializing, there's so many ways to do it. There's an app called Zoom. From your phone, you can get like 4 people on, then you scroll over, you can get 5. I understand with the computer, you can get up to 50 people at one time. Zoom, have fun when you guys just want to see one another. Or we have a group, a chat group of all couples that we hang around with, our circle. And we all just all day long just shoot the shit, have fun, uh, a whole bunch of gifts, a whole bunch of information, um, ideas. We're brainstorming about things, and it's just a great release. You know what I mean? Another thing, be careful with how much news you take in, because again, I'm a researcher. My major was legal studies, so LexisNexis and doing research this and research that, and I've always been very inquisitive as is, but I'm always watching the news of some sort, and or someone's take on something on YouTube even. And my son told me today he sneezed, regular sneeze. As you hear my nose, if I drink something, my sinuses mess up. But it is spring, so I have sinus issues. My son, I told you guys the last time that we spoke, around this time of the year, he gets nosebleeds. It's just something that happens. Let me knock on wood. Thank you. He has not had any nosebleeds, but his eyes are a little puffy sometimes when he wakes up, and he had some sneezing today. So I got his Zyrtec, and he uses, I think it's called Zatador, eye drops when his eyes get, really itchy. But he looked at me and he says, "Mommy, I have the blank, blank, blank." YouTube doesn't let us say it. They'll take our channel down, they said. Isn't that something? So much for freedom of speech, right? What kind of crap is that? But he said he had that. I'm like, right away, instead of being the adult, I'm just like oh my God, you don't. No, you don't. So I'm like, why do you say that? What's wrong? How do you feel? And he says, well, my head hurts. And I said, okay, so you have a headache? And right away, I take his temperature. It's regular. So I'm like, look, baby, first of all, even though I know this not to be true, but I told him because they're kids. And I feel that I've already done them a disservice by allowing them to watch so much news. And it's not like they're watching it, but when they're walking in and out after school, that's all my TV is like just plastered on. So I said, kids can't get it. You're too young to get it. I said, but we're still going to make sure that we wash our hands and that we use this when we're out and about. Okay. So it made him feel a lot better. I gave him some Tylenol because you shouldn't use ibuprofen in case you even think that you might have it. So they say. Anyway, I'm excuse me. I had